How's it going, everyone? Matt Leighton, Shawn Battle. Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show, another virtual episode. I'm here in my home office. Shawn, it looks like you're by your wet bar of your house that may soon be someone else's house if all goes well.
It should be pretty soon. All goes well. Got the appraisal back yesterday. It appraised. So I think the lending on their side is good. That's all we got. So we should be rolling. Excited.
You had a clean home inspection. You had a clean appraisal. You're having a lot of clean sweeps over there in a shocking market. So
Yes, thankfully I did. You know, one clean sweep I did not have, and this is kind of odd to me, is the radon test.
Oh.
So yeah, I actually didn't even do a radon test whenever I bought this place. And if people would see, like, this is my basement, right? So like I have windows that go right outside.
Yeah.
So you would think that, hey, probably not any radon there.
Fine.
Because there's circulation, but it was high. It came in high, so we agreed to fix it.
Did it come in at like 4.1 or like 7 or what?
5.5.
5.5.
Yeah. 5.5. So
well,
I felt like that was my duty to fix it. And plus, you know, we're in here for another 3 months, 2 months, 2.5 months, because we have a 2-month rent back. So I figured, let's get it done. So we're doing it.
In Virginia, doesn't the seller have to do it?
It's a negotiation.
It's a negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the seller had to fix by seller remedy.
Let's read it. We'll read it.
Hopefully my seller isn't watching that I made him do it. Now I'm pretty sure in the contract it says the seller has to fix it, but we'll touch on that later. It's April 23rd, and you know, I feel like everyone is kind of used to their lifestyle of being unused to their lifestyle, if you will. And the real estate market, it's still chugging along. But you know, there's a few trends going on that Shawn and I are going to touch on. And I don't know what order you want to hit on these, but I'm just going to throw them at the wall and we'll see which one you want to go with first. Showings are up 25%. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
So that to me signals that buyers are maybe a little more comfortable. I mean, there's a lot going on. Showings are up. They're still down, you know, 50 to 60% year over year. The listings, you know, we're still seeing a similar amount of listings as last year, but by all accounts, it feels like there's less listings because a lot of owner occupied houses don't want to list their houses for obvious reasons. And
yeah, I feel that you know, I'm looking for a house right now and there's just nothing. There's one that came on today. We're going to go see in 45 minutes. But that's it for me. And I'm in a small area that I want to be in, but one is not a lot. I really do feel that showings, and guys, keep in mind that we're talking about Northern Virginia real estate. Honestly, I was talking to my brother. My brother lives in Pittsburgh. Did you realize that real estate is shut down?
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah, you cannot do anything.
Can't do showings, can't do open houses, can't do anything.
Nothing. So we're lucky here. Call us lucky that we are actually allowed to go and show properties with restrictions.
Was it Governor Wolf? Is that the governor? Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania? Governor was like, nah, you're not essential.
That question when you listen.
Yeah, it's like not only are you not essential, but you can't operate, which is crazy. But you know, I understand it, but it's terrible. So showings are up. Inventory is kind of staying the same in Northern Virginia, DC. And obviously, the big thing that's down is pending contracts, right? Not that, you know, pending contracts, I think I'll put up the stat, but they're down about 52%. This was an email that Shawn Military sent out the other day. And that to me it's shocking, but it's to be expected at the same point, right? It's like, of course, if showings drop off, the next logical thing to drop off are contingent properties after that. So I think it just begs the question, when are sellers going to feel comfortable listing their properties, because there are sellers that got wind of this, in late February, early March, heard the rumblings. And then, if I'm a seller, I want to sell well, you did the right thing and you sold in March, but, I want to sell in April, right? Before all this is happening. I want to sell March, April, May. Now, everyone in April, is having issues. Everyone in May is second guessing. And, the stay-at-home orders in Virginia are until June. So Shawn, when do you think there's going to be that rush of properties, that flood of properties, if you will?
That's a really good question. I hope sooner than later, but the reality is the buyers aren't out there like they should be or would be. And I think there's, real issues with that. We are in kind of a different mindset here. We have the government here helping us out, but people are in real trouble, with their jobs. And so this is going to weed a lot of those buyers out. I think people are going to probably wait until the restrictions are lifted. So I think probably somewhere around that June timeframe is when we're going to see the spring market really kick in. I hope so anyways. I hope sooner than later. But we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, part of why, Northern Virginia, Arlington is such a great place to live is jobs, right? People want to live where there are jobs and where there are high-paying jobs. And when people are furloughed, when they are laid off, when they don't have jobs, it becomes a less desirable place to live. So, I'm seeing in bigger cities like New York City, I just saw a headline where it sounded like listings were down something like 80% across the board. Now, I don't think that'll become the case here in Northern Virginia, but it's concerning, both overall inventory levels and, in the luxury market where you may have spec developers that are just putting the brakes on everything. And eventually I feel like that's going to trickle down to the Joe Schmo, Arlington home buyer at $500,000 at $1 million. So I'm really eyeing the June timeframe. Real estate agents will always tell you now is the best time to buy. Now is the best time to sell. You can find pros to buying and selling, any day of the week, like even on Christmas, right? You won't have any competition. But when it comes to selling, and if you're living in a house and there's a global pandemic going on right now, I really hope your real estate agent's telling you not to sell and to wait until the government tells you that it's okay to interact with other human beings. And it also goes back to trust, right? You should trust your real estate agent, and you should also trust your government, because we're starting to see, we really shouldn't be surprised by this, people protesting a global virus that's killing people, but that's just the world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's open to their opinion, and I know there's a lot of opinions that go around right now. The thing is, there are people that have to sell and they have to move. And I'm one good example of that. And, people are still listing their properties. When you talk about New York was in a falling market, and falling markets are going to get hurt even worse. It's going to be rough, honestly. And I think the effect is going to be super long lasting there. Here, I don't know, maybe I'm just being optimistic because it's how I make a living and I want to make a good living doing it. But I feel like we're insulated. We have, like I said, the government, and we have all of the contractors that employ a bulk of the people around here. So once that government starts churning again, I believe that things will start happening again, and probably mid-June is it. Right now, we're slow. This week we saw 25 listings pop on in North Arlington alone, and that's every price point. One in my price point in the area that I really want.
Boom.
So, boom. We'll see what happens.
What are you thinking about that house?
I think it's nice. I drove by it last night after our little fiasco.
Yeah.
We had, and then it's in an area that is perfect, but it's kind of on a hill, which I didn't really want. But it's a really nice setting. So,
yeah. So, I mean, what kind of I mean, this is a house, single family, Arlington, North Arlington, desirable neighborhood, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 range. In a normal market, what type of activity is a house like that getting?
Oh, that's getting a ton of activity. In a normal market, you're probably seeing multiple contracts. Right now, to give you an example, last week I was close to writing on one. It was priced in the same price point. They ended up getting two or three offers, uh, and it wasn't necessarily in the perfect area for me. This one is more in the right area for me, but still seeing 2 to 3 contracts. Now, I believe in our normal standpoint, we would see a lot more than that. So if you're going for the maximum dollar as a seller, it probably isn't the right time. But how do we know what is going to happen in the future? How do we know if this market will ever come back? What if this is the cliff and this is the right time to sell? We just don't know that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're speculating. The way I felt about it is, could I have gotten maybe 10, 15, $20,000 more for my house? Yeah, probably. I think in a normal market, I would have had multiple contracts. I did have multiple contracts, but I was expecting like 5, 6, right? But at the same time, I'm going to buy, and I'm going to buy in this market too. So I'm probably going to do better on the buy than I would normally and compete and overpay. So there's a good side to either way. If you have to buy and sell, and you're staying in this little area that we're in, then I think it makes sense because you can win on both sides.
Yeah, and I feel like before you listed your property, you were maybe thinking about going like 25 under what you were at, and then you were like, all right, well, I'm gonna try like, 950 or whatever.
Yeah, and it really has to do with comps and everything else. And then, you start thinking, oh, well, what if I went 25 over this? Because I think it appraised higher than 950, to be honest. But that's based on comparable sales, and mine's just a bigger house than those other ones. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're in the process of selling your house at your listing price in a pandemic and everything's going smoothly. I think there's a lot. I think you can always say we could have gotten more,
Yeah,
but the house that you're buying, they could always, think about raising their price like 50,000, so,
absolutely. They could.
um,
And, we've got to think about, how is our business going to be in the future? How is this going to affect our business? What is the money that we're going to be making? And is it the right move for me to buy this house?
well, that brings up a good point. Let's quickly talk about real estate agents because as we all know, Redfin furloughed something like 41% of their employees, like they're real estate agents, they're showing agents. These are agents that are, can no longer, can no longer work, and that, someone's out of a job, and that's terrible. And, you see on all the message boards, people saying, oh, well, they can just join, my brokerage, or they can just join any brokerage. And, doesn't really work that way. Right. But I think, anyone can sell properties in hot markets. I think when you have times like this, you do see a lot of real estate agents leave the market, whether by choice or by force, with market conditions. So, there's been a lot of downward pressure on commissions specifically. So in times like this, and once we get out of this, how do you think that's going to change from a real estate agent's perspective?
It's going to be amazing for us, I think. I've gone through this before in 2008, and what you see is exactly what you said. A lot of these people that were just coasting along because it was easy, they're going to fall out because they're going to realize, man, this is a lot harder. When things get tough, man, people don't want to deal with it. Real estate can be really trendy and cool, and hey, I can make a ton of money, which you could. It's endless, but at the same time, you can make nothing. And where those Zillow agents or those Redfin agents are falling out is those markets that aren't as hot. And they're going to be gone. They can go to another brokerage, but if your market's not hot or not working and you're used to a hot market, you're done basically. So I was waiting for this. I like the clearing out of the bad agents or the agents that are used to a hot market, because now you're in the grind and you've got to learn how to sell property in a different market. And if you're not used to it, you're going to struggle.
Man, so it really took a global pandemic for real estate agents to embrace virtual tours, huh?
And that's the thing is we've been doing this for so long. How long have we been doing 3D tours, 3D tours, 3D tours? And I said, I was one of the first agents around here to do it. This is needed. It's a game changer in our business. And now you and I have been doing videos for these listings, and that's what sets us apart. But now these people are starting to say, oh, well, maybe we do need to start doing videos. And that's exactly it. It's a pandemic that gets people to act.
Yeah, I've heard the negatives about the 3D tours, and I think the biggest one I've heard is that it shows every nook and cranny of the house. I mean, the thing is, make every nook and cranny look good.
That's right.
You're gonna have people walking through the house anyways, and agents are like, well, I only want to show enough to get them in the house. Like, really? You want to waste their time? They're gonna walk in your house and then realize that's not for them. I want to show them every nook and cranny. I want to show them everything. Like, why as agents are we hiding, oh, well, it doesn't look good. Like, well, make it look good. Have a virtual tour, have a video that makes it look good. A virtual tour is not a slideshow with elevator music. In my opinion, a virtual tour is either a 3D tour or a video walkthrough tour. A video walkthrough tour is essentially a virtual tour. Those four words mean the same thing.
Yeah, and I think we're doing them both, and you hit the nail on the head. It's make every corner of that property look as good as possible. And there's so many people that, oh, did you see how good those pictures looked? And then they get into the property and like, oh, it's kind of a letdown, right?
Wow.
So why would you want to let people down when you walk into the property? You have to make sure that your place is showing as good as those pictures, or else people are going to be let down. And when I sold my property, my pictures looked amazing, and I was like, oh man, like, this looks really good. I have to make sure that my property looks like this every time. It's a ton of work every day living here while you're in your property. Sellers out there, it's a ton of work. We realize that, but it makes a difference. And so when people are walking through and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I was showing properties yesterday, and you go in some that feel lived in, they feel homey, they feel warm. And then you go through the ones that are vacant and they have nice pictures, and you go and you're like, wow, this feels totally stale, totally off. It makes a difference. Give us the 3D tour. We'll do a 3D tour every day because we're going to prepare the property correctly.
Yeah, it's just so depressing walking through those properties, and you're like, with one trip to Home Depot in 1 hour, you could make the house look incredibly better with like $100. And
man, and that's the thing is I went to Home Depot so many times in the weeks prior to listing. And it was the little details. It was the caulking. It was the paint. It was everything. I mean, doing the yard, over and over again. When it rains, you got to clean up. It's a constant thing, but making that property look that much better is going to pay off for you.
Yeah, I think, and wrapping up here, I think a few things are going to come out of this. One, with the real estate agents, it literally took something like this to have real estate agents up their game. Now, there's always going to be those agents that just throw on the properties, and for whatever reason, people are going to pay a percent for them to list their property, which is weird. But a lot of agents are really going to think more strategically, and a lot of consumers are going to demand better online marketing. And then on the consumer standpoint, well, consumers, they know, every single nook and cranny of their house is going to be seen, every single floor, every single room. But they also know that we're in a very strange time right now. And I think once the floodgates open, it's going to be extremely hard to predict what will happen. I mean, we're just seeing with the stock market, with the oil industry, the oil boom crash. I just don't know what direction the housing market's going to go in Northern Virginia. I think I know, but every single prediction I've made so far has been wrong. So I'm afraid to predict. Yeah.
Should I hold off, Matt?
That's the thing. I mean, if you're going to live in that house for the next 20 years, doesn't matter.
That's it. I need to move. I need to buy, and I'm going to live there this is a long-term house for me. And that's another thing, a good point that you've got to bring up is like, you're buying for a long term, and yeah, prices are going to fluctuate. They're going to go up and down. You can't time the market. You got to live your life. So
yeah, I mean, it's like and this point I've been argued with a lot, and you can tell me if I'm crazy, but like your house that's something you want to live in.
Yeah.
And if you make money, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
But I think you want to be happy in your property. And, you know, those people that, you know, come home from work and just look at a spreadsheet of their Zillow estimate every single day, or they just wonder if their house is appreciating every single day. Like, if you want like an investment, like go buy an investment property. A house, that's great that you live in. If it goes up, great. Obviously, I'm not saying go buy a house that you know is going to go down in value, and, you know, no one in the right mind would ever assume I was thinking that way. But I think the mentality should be, am I going to be happy in this property? And then go from there.
Absolutely. Make sure you find the right property. And, you know, I'm scrutinizing this property already, making sure that, you know, there's certain things that I was looking for in a property, and is it going to be the right one? We'll find out when I walk through, but think long term. This is long term. And, you know, my parents have been in the same house for years, and for what, 45 years, and their property value hasn't gone up all that much, but, you know, it's paid off. They're not renting. So all in all, it's always a good time, always good to purchase, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, there you have it for Shawn and myself. Thank you so much for watching. As always, definitely drop us a comment below if you had any questions or comments, or if you disagreed with me, or if you really dig Shawn's facial hair, definitely drop a comment.
This is, you know, this is, how many weeks is it? 5 weeks now? I've never grown facial hair like this ever, but I was like, you know what? I got the time. I'm not seeing a ton of people right now. Let's just do it. And now I don't know. I don't really like it, but I'm just going to keep doing it until I have to, you know?
All right. There you have it.
Looking clean, brother.
There we go. Just freshened up for Shawn and
Yeah,
myself. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
See you guys. Thank you.